Ah, good evening. I am glad you have returned. The fire seems to burn a little slower tonight, and the shadows on the cave wall seem to be listening. We have spoken of the monsters born from the abyss of nature. We have spoken of the slayers, the men we so quickly call heroes. Tonight, I want us to open two very special files. These are not case files on creatures of primal chaos. These are files on beings who were once human, or at least who carried a human heart. They are mirrors, and when we look into them, we do not see the fury of nature. We see the cruelty of gods and the ruthlessness of human society. Settle in. This is the tragic story of two of history's most misunderstood monsters: Asterion, whom the world calls the Minotaur, and Medusa, the cursed priestess. Monster Files: The Tragedy of Medusa and Minotaur. These are not tales to frighten children. They are warnings for adults. Chapter 1. The Roar in the Labyrinth. Case File: Asterion. Before there was the monster Minotaur, the Bull of Minos, there was a child named Asterion. To understand this tragedy, you must not begin with the labyrinth. You must begin with the arrogance of a king. The original sin, the hubris of King Minos. King Minos of Crete was a powerful man, and like all powerful men, he believed he could bargain with the gods. To secure his throne, he prayed to Poseidon, the god of the sea, for a sign of divine favor. He promised he would sacrifice whatever the gods sent forth from the waves. Poseidon sent a magnificent, snow-white bull, a creature of breathtaking beauty. And Minos, overwhelmed by its beauty and by his own greed, did what arrogant men do. He broke his promise. Minos kept the divine bull for himself and sacrificed a lesser one from his own herd. He thought a god wouldn't notice. He was wrong. The Greek gods do not punish sin simply. They punish it poetically. They do not strike the sinner down. They corrupt what the sinner loves. Poseidon did not harm Minos. He cursed Queen Pasiphae, Minos' wife. The queen was afflicted with a monstrous, unnatural desire. She fell in love with a white bull, the birth of a shame. From this cursed union, the sin of Minos and the punishment of Poseidon, a child was born. He was not a demon. He was a prince. His name was Asterion, the starry one. But Asterion was born in the shape of a monster, the body of a man, the head of a bull. And this is where the true tragedy begins. King Minos, the man responsible for the entire catastrophe, looked at his son. He did not see a victim. He saw shame. He saw living proof of his broken oath. The Minotaur was not born evil. He was born as evidence of a royal sin. The Labyrinth, a prison of denial. Minos could not bring himself to kill his son, but he could not bear the sight of him. So he commanded his greatest architect, Daedalus, to build a structure not for protection, but for concealment. This was the labyrinth. The labyrinth was not a lair. It was a prison, an intricate, impossible maze designed so that no one could ever find their way out. It was a physical monument to the complexity of royal lies, shame, and denial. Asterion was thrown into it, a child, a prince, denied light, denied love, denied any human contact. Imagine growing up in eternal darkness. No one speaks to you. No one teaches you. The only thing you know is the cold touch of stone walls and the echo of your own confused roars. The loneliness, the fear, the rage. It turned an abandoned child into a feral beast. He was not a monster. He was made a monster by his own father, the tool of war. The story gets worse. Minos' other son, Androgeos, was killed in Athens. In his grief and rage, Minos declared war, and he found the perfect use for his hidden shame. He turned his son into a weapon of terror. Minos demanded a tribute from Athens. 7 young men and 7 young women, sent every 9 years. For what? To be thrown into the labyrinth. This was not just revenge. This was food. King Minos turned his son, Prince Asterion, into a cannibal by giving him nothing else to eat. He fed the beast and starved the man. The roar that the Athenians feared was not the roar of a monster. It was the desperate, starved, and maddened cry of a prisoner forgotten by the world. The hero, Theseus, the executioner. And then the hero Theseus arrived. Theseus did not come to liberate the Minotaur. He did not come to break the curse. He came to kill the monster, to end the tribute, and to win glory for himself. With the help of Ariadne, the Minotaur's own half-sister, another family betrayal, Theseus entered the prison. That battle was not a glorious duel. It was an execution. Theseus, a trained warrior, a prince of Athens, hunted a captive, lonely, and deranged creature through its own cell. When Theseus plunged his sword into Asterion's heart, he was not slaying a monster. He was cleaning up King Minos' mess. He was murdering the final victim of a tragedy that began with the greed of a king and the cruelty of a god. File on the Minotaur. Closed. Cause of death, homicide. Perpetrator, Theseus. Co-conspirators, King Minos and Poseidon. Chapter 2. The Gaze of Stone. Case file, Medusa. If the Minotaur's tragedy was being hidden, Medusa's tragedy was being distorted. The story of Medusa, as it's often told, begins with the snakes. That is a lie. The story of Medusa begins with her devotion, the original sin, the crime of being beautiful. Medusa was once a mortal woman of staggering beauty. She was not just beautiful. She was a virgin priestess, sworn to a life of celibacy in service of the goddess Athena. Medusa was the model of piety and purity. Her greatest feature was her magnificent flowing hair, and that beauty was her curse. Poseidon, the god of the sea, a powerful, notoriously violent deity, lusted after her. Medusa, true to her vows, refused him. To a god, refusal is an insult. Poseidon would not take no for an answer. He hunted her. Terrified, Medusa fled to the only sanctuary she knew, the temple of the goddess she served. And there, on the cold stone floor of Athena's own temple, Poseidon raped her. The unjust punishment, the rage of Athena, it was done. A priestess violated, a temple defiled. The victim, Medusa, lay broken, and the goddess Athena appeared. Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, was furious. But her fury was not directed at the perpetrator. She could not, or would not, punish Poseidon, her fellow Olympian, a god of equal power. Instead, Athena unleashed her entire terrible wrath upon the victim. She blamed Medusa. Perhaps she was jealous of Medusa's beauty. Perhaps her pride was so great that she could only see the defilement of her temple. She accused Medusa of luring Poseidon, of failing to keep her purity. And Athena's punishment is one of the cruelest acts in all of mythology. She remade Medusa into a monster. The beautiful hair that Poseidon had coveted, Athena twisted it into a writhing nest of venomous snakes. The soft skin, it became hard, grotesque scales. The lovely face, it became a mask of terror, the curse of stone, the sentence of isolation. But the most sadistic part of the curse was her eyes. Athena decreed that any living thing that looked directly upon Medusa's face would be turned instantly to stone. This was not a weapon. This was a sentence of eternal loneliness. Athena ensured that Medusa could never again look upon a human face. She could never seek help, never find love, never receive a single glance of sympathy. Anyone who tried to approach her for good or for ill, would die. Medusa was made a monster by the very goddess she had worshipped, all because she was the victim of a crime. She was exiled to a remote island to live in darkness, with only her two sisters, the other Gorgons, for company. Her petrifying gaze was not malice. It was her pain, her rage, her trauma made manifest. It was the physical embodiment of a woman so wronged that to even look upon her truth would freeze a man in his tracks. The hero Perseus, the trophy hunter. And then the hero Perseus arrived. Did Perseus journey to that island to save a kingdom? No. Did he come to end a reign of terror? No. Perseus came on a bet. He needed Medusa's head as a trophy to present to King Polydectes, who was threatening his mother. Once again, a woman, Medusa, was about to be destroyed because of the political games of men. The hunt for Medusa was an act of profound cowardice, disguised as glory. Perseus did not face her. He was given divine cheat codes by the gods. Once again, Athena and Hermes, a helmet of invisibility, winged sandals, and a mirrored shield. Perseus snuck into Medusa's cave while she was sleeping. He looked at her reflection in the shield, so he would not be turned to stone. And he beheaded a sleeping woman, a victim of abuse, an exile living in agonizing misery. Even in death, her tragedy was not over. Her head, still cursed, was weaponized by Perseus. He used it to petrify his enemies, to win his own kingdom. Her trauma was turned into a tool for her murderer's career. File on Medusa. Closed. Cause of death. Assassination in her sleep. Perpetrator, Perseus. Co-conspirators, Athena, Poseidon, and King Polydectes. Conclusion. Mirrors of cruelty. The fire is low, and the shadows in the cave are deep. The files on the Minotaur and Medusa are not files on monsters. They are files on crimes. They are monsters who were manufactured by the powerful, by kings and by gods, to hide their own sins. The Minotaur was the living embodiment of King Minos' shame. Medusa was the living embodiment of Athena's injustice. They were not monsters. They were victims who were labeled as monsters so that heroes could kill them and be called glorious. Theseus and Perseus were not saviors. They were the cleanup crew. They came to erase the living evidence of divine and royal sins. They murdered the victims and called it justice. Tonight, when you look into the dark, remember this. Not everything with fangs or snakes for hair is the monster. Sometimes the real monster is the one holding the sword, and the one telling the story. Would you like next time to speak of the gatekeepers? The guardians like Cerberus and the Sphinx? Are they protectors, or are they too just prisoners?
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this video, learned something new, or simply want to see more content like this, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support truly helps the channel grow and reach more people. And if you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.